Purple Political Talk here, and today we're going to be going through the 2020 presidential election, and we're going to be looking at how Donald Trump still has a chance of winning the election. It is not looking too good for him right now. But actually, when you start taking in different factors, you could see actually ways that Donald Trump could actually go on to win the election. As of right now, Joe Biden, I see him winning by over 350 electoral votes. But that does not mean that Donald Trump doesn't have a chance of winning. Now, are we talking a landslide win? No, definitely not. There is no way, unless something crazy happens in the United States, that Donald Trump wins by a landslide this election. Now, can we talk about a smaller victory, maybe like 20 electoral votes, 30 electoral votes? Yeah, we can maybe see that something like that happening. So I think honestly, what's really going to change is I'm gonna fill in the map. At this point with the states that I think are going to be close. At this point in time, I guess the Trump campaign needs to focus on the different groups that are kind of shying away from it. And I think honestly, the most important people that he should be focusing on are the suburban voters. Maybe the suburban voters that went to the Democrats in 2016. Maybe those voters decide to maybe go back to the Republican Party. Which, at the end of the day, is not unseen of. I mean, there's been many scenarios where we've seen a scenario where we see elections that were supposed to be a little closer, not be as close, and things like that. So, I honestly think, oh, by the way, this map is just filling in, our really contested states. We're not talking about any too close to call. I mean, like Georgia's not here, Texas is here. It's because it's not our contested states. It's rather the states that are going to be super close. And I feel that these is the election's going to come down to. Rust Belt plus Sun Belt is the same as the election. So I think at this point in time, the Trump campaign should be focusing in these two areas. The Southwest. There's three areas, essentially. Southwest, Rust Belt, and the Sun Belt. And honestly, I think, if we're looking at places, I mean, look at these two states. If you give them Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, and it's pretty notable because I remember that Donald Trump won the primaries there. And I haven't mentioned that before in my videos. I mean, he got more votes than Joe Biden because maybe the primaries are not a good way to judge a general election because either A, people don't go vote for the primaries, or B, it's kind of, since the primaries are technically over, I mean, there's not as excitement to go out and vote like maybe there was during the Iowa caucuses. But still, it's pretty substantial, and I mean, that's going to be one small factor that's on Donald Trump's side. I'm not saying that it will be the election changer, because it's certainly not, I think, but it will have something to do with the election. So let's say that these two states, Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, go for Donald Trump. And let's suppose the state of Arizona goes as well. He already has 246. He just has to win at least two or three of these states. So yeah, any two combination wins you the election. So technically speaking, I think the easiest combination for him to win is win the state of Florida and the state of North Carolina. He wins the election, or win in Michigan and then lose Minnesota and North Carolina. So at this point, the Trump campaign has to look what they're doing. And I think the biggest way that we might see a Donald Trump comeback is suburbs. These suburbs, I think, are going to silently vote for Donald Trump. What do I mean by this silently? Well, it's going to be a silent majority. There's going to be a bunch of people that are going to be super quiet about voting for Donald Trump, because then people might shame each other and whatever. But I think that the suburbs will be one of the most important places for this election, and I think a silent majority might be able to vote for Donald Trump. Again, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is looking like he's going to win, but if he were to win, I think there would be very good places that he can get out that vote. And I think, honestly, Donald Trump, if he kind of takes an example of Chaz in Washington and show some of the suburban voters how maybe that's destroying the city and things like that, and he can pin it in a way that make these suburban voters care, maybe we could start to see some flipping when it comes to the suburbs. So, honestly, I think the best case scenario for Donald Trump looking to flip the election is looking like it would be something like this. and or not the state of North. Well, that looks like a possible scenario. Or he could, instead of win Pennsylvania, he wins Arizona, and Barrett narrowly wins. But look, there are many ways for Donald Trump to do this. And honestly, I think Donald Trump is capable of doing all of them. Remember what we're talking about. We're talking about Donald Trump, who, like him or not, I mean, it's pretty universal. He's a very charismatic person, and he moves a lot of people. If you talk to someone like Joe Biden, he's not as charismatic, and that might be one of his downfalls. There might be a big move for the Democratic Party, but then people might see Joe Biden as a little bit of a sleeper candidate. I'm not saying that either candidate is good or bad. I'm just saying that's how the public may perceive them. And at the end of the day, that's who decides the election is the American public. So if I were to make a prediction for how Donald Trump wins the election at this point, it would look like this. Narrow win, but a win is a win. Now, this could become a very interesting thing if we get to very close election, and then we have our friends from the electoral faithless electors, and that might be a fun thing to watch. Considering that, like, if the election is this close and 8 faithless electors flip from side to side, we might see or Donald Trump winning by a bigger margin, or Joe Biden narrowly taking the victory there, which would be for a very interesting election season. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a short one. I'm going to actually have my subscriber decided election night up soon. And guys, I have a Patreon now. If you want to ship in and to make this channel great, please go to the link down in the description and you can donate $3, for example, to be just in the know of what I'm going to be doing this week, the next week. And there's even an option that you can donate $15, and I give you a class of how to make an election night. And yeah, it's going to be very great, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and goodbye.